In 2026, the world will pull at you harder than ever. More noise, more opinions, more comparison, more distractions dressed up as opportunities. And the people who win won't be the loudest, the busiest, or the most visible. They'll be the ones who made a simple but uncomfortable decision to focus on themselves. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It means being serious. Serious about your future, serious about your standards, serious about not wasting another year reacting to everyone else's agenda while neglecting your own. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because their attention is scattered. They wake up already behind, checking messages, scrolling opinions, absorbing other people's problems before they've invested 1 minute in their own progress. By noon, they're exhausted, not from work, but from noise. In 2026, you don't need more information. You need more control. Control over how you start your day. Control over what earns your energy. Control over which voices get access to your mind. When you focus on yourself, you stop chasing approval and start building results. You stop asking, do they like this? And start asking, does this move my life forward? That shift alone changes everything. Here's the hard truth. No one is coming to save you. No algorithm, no mentor, no perfect opportunity. And once you accept that, something powerful happens. You stop waiting. You start working quietly, consistently, without needing applause. Focusing on yourself means setting standards when motivation disappears. It means doing the boring things well. It means saying no more often than yes. No to distractions. No to drama. No to people who drain more than they add. Most people spend their best energy proving things to others. Focused people spend their energy improving themselves. And over time, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. In 2026, comparison will be everywhere. Someone will always be ahead. Someone will always look more successful online. But comparison is a tax on your progress. Every minute you spend measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel is a minute stolen from your own growth. Focus is deciding that your path doesn't need validation. When you focus on yourself, you build skills instead of scrolling. You invest in your body instead of complaining about energy. You track your money instead of avoiding it. You have hard conversations instead of pretending everything is fine. And yes, it's lonely at first, because when you change, your environment will resist. People get uncomfortable when you stop participating in distraction, when you stop explaining yourself, when your actions get quieter and your results get louder. But stay with it. Discipline compounds, self-respect compounds, confidence compounds, not overnight, but inevitably. By the end of 2026, the people who stayed locked in won't need to announce it. Their lives will speak for them. Stronger habits, better finances, sharper minds, calmer emotions, clear direction. Focus on yourself doesn't mean ignoring the world. It means mastering yourself before trying to manage anything else. So choose depth over distraction, execution over excuses, progress over approval. Because the most powerful move you can make in 2026 is this: stop watching everyone else and start becoming someone worth watching. Stay focused, stay disciplined, stay on your path. Your attention is your most valuable asset, and once you understand that, everything about how you live has to change. Money can be earned again, time can sometimes be recovered, but attention, once spent, is gone forever. Every notification you check, every argument you engage in, every hour you scroll without intention is a quiet decision to give away a piece of your life to something that will not pay you back. And the world knows this. That's why everything is designed to interrupt you, hook you, and keep you distracted just long enough to delay your progress. Protecting your attention ruthlessly means becoming selective, even when it feels uncomfortable. It means realizing that not every message deserves a reply, not every opportunity deserves a yes, and not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Focus is not about doing more, it's about refusing more. Refusing distractions disguised as entertainment, refusing drama disguised as connection, refusing busyness disguised as productivity. When your attention is scattered, your life feels chaotic. When your attention is disciplined, your life gains momentum. The difference between people who stay stuck and people who move forward is rarely intelligence or luck. It's where their attention goes when no one is watching. Focused attention turns ordinary effort into leverage. Unfocused attention turns potential into frustration. Protecting your attention also means guarding your internal environment. What you consume becomes how you think. The content you watch, the conversations you entertain, the people you keep close, all of it either sharpens you or dulls you. Ruthless protection means choosing inputs that build you, not drain you. It means stepping away from constant stimulation so your mind can actually think, plan, and create. At first, this level of focus feels isolating. You'll respond less. You'll explain yourself less. You'll be less available to things that don't matter. But that silence is where clarity is built. That boredom is where discipline grows. And that discipline is what separates people who stay busy from people who actually win. If you want a different life, you need a different relationship with your attention. Treat it like the non-renewable resource it is. Spend it only on what compounds. Protect it without apology. Because once you control your attention, you control your direction. And from that point forward, your results are no longer accidental. Stop outsourcing validation, because the moment you need permission to feel confident, you've handed control of your life to someone else. External approval is unstable by nature. It changes with moods, trends, and opinions you can't control. When your self-worth depends on likes, praise, or recognition, your direction becomes reactive. You start adjusting your behavior to be accepted instead of respected, and over time, you lose clarity on what you actually want. Building internal standards means deciding in advance what good enough looks like for you without waiting for applause. It's setting rules you live by when no one is watching. Did you keep your word to yourself today? Did you do the work you said you would do? Did you act with integrity even when cutting corners was easier? Those questions matter more than whether anyone noticed. People who rely on validation are constantly negotiating with the room. People with internal standards don't negotiate, they execute. They don't need constant reassurance because their confidence is anchored in evidence. They know how much effort they put in. They know what they improved. They know what discipline cost them. That self-trust becomes unshakable because it's earned, not given. When you stop outsourcing validation, you stop performing and start building. You're no longer distracted by comparison or delayed by doubt. You don't need to announce your goals or prove your potential. Your standard becomes progress, not praise, growth, not recognition. Internal standards also make decisions easier. You waste less energy debating, explaining, or seeking approval. If something aligns with your principles, you move. If it doesn't, you walk away, calmly, without resentment. That clarity protects your focus and preserves your self-respect. The truth is, validation feels good in the moment, but it weakens you over time. Internal standards feel demanding at first, but they make you powerful. They turn discipline into identity and consistency into confidence. And once your approval comes from within, no one else gets to decide how worthy, capable, or committed you are. Focusing on yourself means taking full ownership of your time, your habits, and your decisions, without excuses and without blame. It's the moment you stop saying you're too busy and start admitting what you're prioritizing. Time doesn't disappear, it gets spent. When you own your time, you become intentional with how each day is structured. You stop letting urgency run your life and start letting purpose set the schedule. Every hour has a job, and if it doesn't move you forward, you question why it's there. Owning your habits is understanding that your future is built from what you do repeatedly, not what you plan occasionally. Habits are silent, but they are powerful. They either work for you or against you every single day. When you focus on yourself, you stop waiting for motivation and start designing systems. You remove friction from the habits that matter and add friction to the ones that don't. You recognize that discipline is not punishment. It's self-respect in action. Owning your decisions means accepting that where you are right now is the result of choices you've already made. Not circumstances, not luck, not other people. That truth can be uncomfortable, but it's also freeing. Because once you own your decisions, you regain control. You stop reacting emotionally and start choosing deliberately. You trade impulse for intention. When you truly focus on yourself, you no longer outsource responsibility for your life. You don't wait for perfect conditions or external approval. You decide, you act, and you adjust. Mistakes become feedback instead of excuses. Progress becomes inevitable because you're no longer negotiating with distractions or hiding behind uncertainty. This level of ownership builds confidence that doesn't crack under pressure. You trust yourself because you've proven you can manage your time, maintain your habits, and stand by your decisions. And that trust becomes the foundation for everything else you want to build. Freedom, momentum, and a future that actually reflects your effort. Quiet consistency beats loud comparison every time because progress doesn't respond to attention. It responds to repetition. Most people burn energy watch. ing others instead of building themselves. They track who's ahead, who's winning, who's getting recognized, and in the process, they fall behind their own potential. Comparison feels productive, but it produces nothing. It creates anxiety, urgency, and self-doubt without delivering results. Quiet consistency is showing up when no one is clapping. It's doing the work without announcing it. It's improving in small, almost unnoticeable ways that don't look impressive day to day, but become undeniable over time. While others are busy broadcasting intentions, consistent people are stacking evidence, and evidence builds confidence faster than any external validation ever could. Loud comparison is fragile. It depends on visibility, approval, and constant reassurance. The moment someone else looks more successful, motivation collapses. Quiet consistency, on the other hand, is stable. It doesn't fluctuate with trends or opinions. It operates on routine, discipline, and long-term thinking. That's why it lasts. When you commit to quiet consistency, your focus turns inward. You measure progress against who you were yesterday, not who someone else appears to be today. That removes pressure and replaces it with control. You stop rushing. You stop forcing timelines. You let compounding do the heavy lifting. The truth is, the people who win rarely look impressive at the beginning. They look boring, predictable, repetitive. But while others are distracted by comparison, they're building skills, strengthening habits, and gaining momentum. And by the time the results show, there's no debate, because consistency always leaves receipts. In the end, comparison fades, noise disappears, and only outcomes remain. Quiet consistency doesn't need attention to work, it just needs commitment. And given enough time, it will always outperform the loudest voice in the room. Self-discipline creates freedom, leverage, and confidence because it removes dependence on mood, motivation, and external circumstances. When you are disciplined, you don't need perfect conditions to move forward. You act even when it's uncomfortable, uncertain, or inconvenient. And that ability unlocks freedom. Freedom from procrastination. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from constantly starting over. Most people think discipline limits them, but the opposite is true. Discipline is what gives you options. When you manage your time, your money, your health, and your focus, you're no longer trapped by urgency or impulse. You can say no without fear. You can walk away without desperation. You can wait without anxiety. That is real freedom, the ability to choose instead of react. Discipline also creates leverage. Small, controlled actions done consistently compound into results that others can't replicate with bursts of effort. While undisciplined people rely on motivation and luck, disciplined people rely on systems. They build skills that pay them back. They build reputations they don't have to explain. Over time, their effort goes further because they've learned how to channel it efficiently. Confidence is the natural byproduct of discipline, not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet, grounded kind. When you keep promises to yourself, you begin to trust yourself. When you show up daily, you eliminate self-doubt. Confidence stops being something you chase and becomes something you stand on. You know what you're capable of because you've proven it through action. Self-discipline doesn't make life easier in the moment. It makes it easier over time. It shifts struggle from the future to the present. It trades temporary discomfort for long-term control. And once you experience the freedom, leverage, and confidence that discipline creates, you realize it was never about restriction. It was about becoming powerful enough to run your own life. 2026 rewards people who simplify, execute, and stay locked in because complexity has become the new hiding place for procrastination. Most people are overwhelmed not because life is hard, but because they've made everything unnecessarily complicated. Too many goals, too many inputs, too many opinions. Simplification is a power move. It's deciding what actually matters and having the courage to ignore the rest. When you simplify, your energy stops leaking in every direction and starts moving with force. Execution is what separates intention from results. Everyone has plans, everyone has ideas. Very few people consistently act on them. In 2026, information is cheap, action is rare. The people who win don't wait until they feel ready. They move with clarity, even if it's imperfect. They understand that momentum beats overthinking and that progress comes from doing, not discussing. Staying locked in is about endurance, not intensity for a week, but focus for a year. It's resisting the urge to constantly pivot, restart, or chase something new just because it looks exciting. Locked-in people commit to the process long enough for it to work. They don't panic when results are slow. They don't get distracted when attention shifts elsewhere. They trust compounding. while others bounce between trends, chase shortcuts, and burn out from scattered effort. Locked-in people quietly build. They refine instead of restart. They improve instead of abandon. They show up whether they're seen or not. That consistency gives them an unfair advantage because most people can't sustain focus. 2026 won't reward noise. It won't reward busyness. It won't reward potential. It will reward clarity, execution, and discipline over time. The people who simplify their lives, take decisive action, and stay committed when it's boring will look lucky later. But it won't be luck. It will be earned. As 2026 unfolds, the advantage won't belong to those who try to do everything. It will belong to those who decide who they are and stay committed to it. Focusing on yourself is not a phase or a trend, it's a discipline. It's choosing clarity over chaos, ownership over excuses, and progress over approval. When you protect your attention, build internal standards, and take full responsibility for your time and habits, your life stops drifting and starts moving with intention. This is the year to go quiet and get serious, to trade comparison for consistency, distraction for discipline, and comfort for control. You don't need to announce the work. You don't need permission to begin. All that's required is the decision to stay locked in long enough for the results to compound. By the end of 2026, the goal isn't to impress people, it's to respect yourself. Stronger focus, sharper habits, calmer confidence, real leverage. If you commit to simplifying, executing, and staying disciplined when it's boring, your future will speak louder than anything you could ever say. Focus on yourself and let the results do the talking.